Good evening. Welcome to the December 2nd, 2021 meeting of the Southampton Town Zoning Board of Appeals. This meeting is being held via video conferencing pursuant to Chapter 417 of the laws of 2021. And until further notice, all of the board's meetings will be held remotely. So we ask that the public to continually check the town's website for updates and new information. There are also options on the website for public comments and to pre-register to speak on public hearings. So please consider that for all future meetings. If you wish to view tonight's live meeting only, please do not join the Zoom meeting and instead go to the town's website. If the live stream cannot be seen on the town portal, please go to the YouTube website and select the CTV Southampton channel. If you wish to be heard during a meeting but did not pre-register, please go to the town's meeting portal, choose the meeting group from the drop-down on the left, and you will find the information required to join the Zoom meeting. With that, I'd ask you that you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well,
we will be starting this meeting with the public hearings. We have applicants and members of the public standing by via Zoom webinar, which is being moderated by CTV. Charles Certain will mute the speakers until it is their time to give testimony before the board. Please be patient. If you find that you are having difficulties accessing the hearings, please visit the town clerk's meeting portal and click on the instructions link. Also, there are a few public hearings that will not be heard tonight, meaning they're going to get adjourned. So please listen to us shortly to hear when they will be rescheduled for. A reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking, other than attorneys, will be sworn in, will state their address for the record, and will offer their testimony as it relates to the application before the board. Board members who must recuse themselves from any application will state so on the record and will be removed from the meeting until the end of the hearing. Unless otherwise stated at the end of each hearing, all of these applications will remain open for written comments for all purposes until December 17th, 2021. Those comments can be addressed to our board secretary, Candace, and sent via email, mail, and/or drop off at town hall. With that, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
so moved.
Second.
A lot of people moved. Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Just for the record, I was not at the last board meeting. Mr. DeSessa did an excellent job chairing. But I watched the tape, and so I'm familiar with all the applications that were heard at the last meeting, and I vote aye. And so next we go on to adjournments.
Okay, on the agenda, we'll start with item 1 on the agenda, which is Atlantic Golf Club, Inc., 2040 Skull Hole Road in Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-49-1-7.1. I will move that we re-advertise for our December 16th meeting.
Okay, it's a re-add, so no vote.
Okay, Candace, 2 was the one you wanted me to read so you could get jurisdiction?
Yes.
Okay, item 2 on the agenda is Nicholas and Luke Carteras, 30 Laurel Lane in Sag Harbor, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-26-1-86. Applicant requests relief from 330-6 that references 330-11. Residence District's table of dimensional regulations for a front yard for a proposed covered entry porch from the required 100 feet to 24 feet. And 29.9 is existing in the front yard. Rear yard relief for a proposed addition from the required 100 feet to 22.6 feet, where 25.5 is existing in the rear. Additionally, relief is requested from 330-11 for distance from street for a proposed pool house from the original 110 feet to 56.2 feet, and distance from street for a proposed pool from the required 110 feet to 34.8 feet.
Board has jurisdiction.
All right, I will now move to adjourn this application to our January 2022 meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill,
All right,
Mr. Sessa,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
all right, item 3 on the agenda is Stephen Glickman and Ellie Pawanski Glickman. 9 Cedarfield Lane, West Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-355-3-10.12. I'll move that we re-advertise that for our 1/20/22 meeting.
Okay, re-add, so no vote.
Right. And then we go down to item 6 is Barbara and Daniel Montero, 33 Windermere Drive in Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-9-2-35. I'm gonna move to re-advertise that to our December 16th, 2021 meeting.
Second.
Re-add, so no vote necessary.
Oh, sorry.
That's good.
Got excited on that one.
I thought I beat Brian to 1 and I didn't.
All right, item 7 on the agenda is
I'm working
Brett
on it, Michael.
Werner. Brett and David Moore applicants, 10 River Avenue in Eastport. Applicant, no, I'm gonna move to adjourn that to our 1/6/22 meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Sessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
And item 8 on the agenda is Danielle Bella, 280 Deerfield Road in Watermill, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-101-3-53.4. Gonna re-advertise that for our February 17, 2022 meeting.
Second.
Okay, re-add, so no vote.
Right. Catch the drift yet there, Mike?
Hey, sooner or later.
Number 9, 210 LLC, 2 TP Street in Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-230-1-27.1. I move to adjourn that to 12/16/21 meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Item 11 on the agenda is East Quogue, 535 Realty Inc., 535 Montauk Highway in East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-341-1-52. I'll move to adjourn that to our February 3rd, 2022 meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill,
All right,
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
all right, on the decision calendar, Gregory Liffin will be put over to our December 16, 2021 meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
East End Homes Management, Inc. Gonna move to reopen that to accept written submissions.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill,
All right,
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Reopen.
Now move to close it for a determination later this evening.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, Jeffrey and Kara Klein has been withdrawn. And then we move on down to John and Victoria Petrillo. I'll move to reopen that case to accept written submissions.
second,
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
aye,
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Reopened.
Now I'll move to close it to have a determination later this evening.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right. And then we have four more left here. This is Edward Burke Jr. and Patricia Burke. The next decision is LPD 4 LLC. The next one would be Nice Licks Real Estate Holding Development Corp. And the last one would be Scott Schlachter. We're going to put those four decisions over to our December 16, 2021 meeting.
second,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, now we'll go back to the beginning of the agenda. and- Give me a second. All right. Let's start with item 4 on the agenda, which is Gwendolyn Brewer, 116B Pound Fork Avenue in Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-294-2-17. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code. 1, for a proposed one-story addition on the east side of the house. 330-115D continuance for a side yard regulation for lots held in single and separate ownership for minimum side yard from 12.24 feet to 11.1 feet. 2, relief of 330-84D height for a proposed pyramid encroachment of 148 cubic feet. 3, relief of 330-115D rear yard regulations for lots held in single and separate ownership from the existing 15.3 feet to 5 feet, and a minimum side yard from 4.7 feet to 4.3 feet. 2, for the existing screened-in deck, relief from 330-11 residential district table of dimensional regulations for distance from rear lot line of 10 feet to 5.9 feet. For a deck and outdoor shower, relief of 330-11 residence district table of dimensional regulations for distance from side lot line from 10 feet to, I think that says 0.4 feet. And 5, relief of 330-77, placement of accessory building structure and uses in residence districts. Required rear yard coverage from 20% to 37% for the screened-in deck and rear deck. And 6, for a shed located in the required front yard, relief of 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts. 330-83C yards for a front yard setback of 10.5 feet where 50 feet is required, and a side yard setback of 19.5 feet where 20 feet is required. And 330-84D height for a pyramid encroachment of 6 cubic feet.
Board has jurisdiction.
Good evening, Daphne. Just have to swear you in. You can state your name and address for the record, please.
Daphne Vaughn, Surfside Environmental Planning, 225 Montauk Highway, Moriches, New York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Do you want your client, Ms. Brewer, to be sworn in as well? I'm not sure what she's going to speak. Okay, Ms. Brewer, just have to swear you in as well, so if you can just state your name and address, please.
My name is Gwendolyn Jean Brewer. I live at 116B Ponquag Avenue, Hampton Bays.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you both so much. And Daphne, you can now tell us about the application.
Sure. Okay, so I want to start by saying that sounded like a whole lot of variances. I have been trying to get in touch with Art Gerhauser, who did write this up, because I think some of his variances are a little jumbled, where he's stating things for the addition that I think should be for the screened porch. Some of those items are existing, some of them are proposed. This is actually quite simple. There is a pre-existing non-conforming house on this property that's been there pre-57. We submitted a single and separate for the property that shows everything's been single and separate since prior to 57. The Miss Brewer purchased the property in July of 2016. The lot is zoned R20. There's less than 8,000 square feet of lot area on for the property. It's accessed by a right-of-way that's over 500 feet from Ponquag Avenue. It's adjacent to the Hampton Bays Fire Company, actually on one side. So the lot is not visible from the street at all. The house itself has been there all along. So when she purchased the property, everything was there as is, except for the 126 square foot shed that she placed in the required front yard. So the screen deck, there's an open deck, and then there's another deck on the south side that also has an outdoor shower that's very close to the property line. All of those have been there since like the 80s per historical aerials, and none of those obtained building permits by prior owners. So we're here seeking to legalize all of those. This survey's got a ton of information on it. There's a lot of setbacks, so it's difficult to understand. And I think that in Art's write-up, some of his numbers are slightly off because he quoted measurements and not necessarily setbacks in some cases. So I am trying to get in touch with him to clarify all of that information. I can go through all of those if you like, but it's basically,
You probably should go through them. I mean,
okay.
Yeah. Not that, I want to take too much time.
Daphne, when was the last time you tried to contact him?
Well, I received the write-up of the variance on Tuesday. So I've been trying to contact him since then because I was comparing what I wrote up versus what he wrote up. And a lot of it is similar, but some of his setback numbers I'm taking from 115D2, but he's taking from 33011. So I'm kind of confused as to why he's doing that if I have a single and separate. So I have to clarify that with him.
Did you go to town hall to speak to him?
He wasn't in today, but I have been trying to email him.
Did you go yesterday?
My husband was in yesterday trying to
Pardon
get in
me?
touch with him. Yes, we were in yesterday trying to get in touch with him.
He was there yesterday.
Not when we were, so.
He was there all day yesterday.
Yeah, he wasn't at his desk when I was in town hall, so I don't know.
Well, you're stressing the importance of meeting with him, so I'm letting you know he's very, very available.
Well, I'm trying my best, so I obviously have to make this a priority so that I can
Yes,
get
you
this
do. Yes,
clarified
you do.
in order to have this proceed with you.
Yeah, I mean, and I know you'll get a hold of Art, and the two of you will have a conversation, hopefully,
Absolutely.
pretty soon. Yeah.
Yes, and he's also noting in his comments that he wants the survey and the plans revised. I was trying to understand that. Marjorie and I did leave messages back and forth with each other, and I think what he's looking for is the surveyor on the northeast elevation corner of the house. The surveyor is actually referencing the deck elevation and not the grade elevation, which is confusing. And the architect accommodated that in his pyramid calculations, so he subtracted the deck height. So the pyramid calculations should be accurate. We have to just clarify the survey.
Yeah, no, we just need to know that the relief that's being requested is what the building department says is being, you know, at least what that you're in agreement on that, because otherwise we go forward, you get a decision, and the building department says go back to ZBA because we gotta fix it.
Right, so the actual new work that is being proposed are two small additions. One is on the eastern side of the house that will be a master bedroom and a foyer. And on the northern side of the house is a small addition that will expand an existing living area. The house itself, when this work is complete, assuming it is approved, will only contain 2 bedrooms. It's a small property, small house. Like I said, it's accessed by a right-of-way that's more than 500 feet from Ponquag Avenue. The property is screened from neighboring properties by 6-foot fences. There is a fair amount of vegetation also on the subject property and the adjacent neighboring properties where the lot, the setbacks are so close. So let me go through the variances. So the new addition that we're proposing on the east side of the house, we're seeking a side yard setback from 331.15D for 11.1 feet from 12.24 feet, and pyramid in the total amount of 148 cubic feet. The shed that we need to legalize that Ms. Brewer put on the property to store her outdoor equipment. There's not really a lot of storage space on this property. I don't think there's a basement. Gwen, is there? I don't think you have a basement. No.
No, I have a crawl space.
Okay, yeah, so she has no outdoor storage. So we're seeking to legalize that, and it would need 330-76D, 83C to be located within the required front yard of the principal dwelling. And then 330-11 for a front yard setback of 10.5 feet, where 50 feet is required. And the side yard setback, Art is quoting 19.5 feet. It should be 9.5. And he's saying where 20 feet is required, I think it should be 10 feet because of the single and separate. But that's what I need to clarify. And then the pyramid on the shed is only 6 cubic feet.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a small deck and with an outdoor shower on it on the south side of the existing residence. And that should be a variances from 330-11 for a side yard setback of 0.4 feet, where 10 feet should be required. 331.15D2 for rear yard setback of 5 feet, where 10 feet should be required.
May I just add that I plan on removing that little back deck altogether?
With the shower?
Yeah, I'm gonna move the shower to behind the foyer, so it'll be set back a little further.
Okay, I'm not sure, would we need variances for that in order to demolish it? I don't know. Katie?
Go to the.
What do you mean? What do you mean variances? Demolish it?
I wasn't aware that she wanted to remove this deck on the south side with an outdoor shower. There's no building permits for it, so it would need to be legalized. So I don't know, we may need to have a variance for it so we can legalize it to then remove it.
I don't think so. I think you
No.
need a building. I think you need a
Yeah.
demolition permit to demolish it, but I don't think you
Yeah.
need to
It's
legalize it.
Yeah.
just
and
a
then
little
Right.
tiny deck that could easily be taken up in an hour.
Yeah, And then the survey would just need to be revised to reflect that's to be removed or moving it altogether if it's already gone.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm told that I can't remove something unless it was legally existing per the building department first. You know what I mean?
Well, they're not going to give you they're not going to give you a variance for something to demolish.
Okay.
So I guess that's a conversation with the.
I'll have to
building
ask Art, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna put that in my notes.
I mean, I've never, Daphne, experienced us granting approval for a structure that's in order for it to be, removed.
I understand. I've
Yeah, yeah.
experienced things where I go to the counter to file for something to be removed and they say, well, we can't demolish it until we legalize it first because
Yeah, yeah.
we don't have a record of it. So,
I think that's true. I think that's true of like a whole structure. If you built a whole tennis court without a building permit and you wanted to demolish it, you might have to, get the building permit first in order to get it off the assessor's records and things like that.
But this was never on because this apparently had nothing to begin with, and it's apparently a small little structure. So
yeah, so I'll get that clarified.
okay.
Which is that? Is that the screen deck, the deck, the wood
No,
deck?
there's a small deck on the south side of the screen deck.
Okay,
The number 4 in the write-up.
Right, number 4.
okay. Got it.
Okay, so that would lead us then to the screen deck, which requires variances from 330-115D for side yard setback to 4.6 feet, where 5.1 feet should be required. And a rear yard setback of 5 feet, where I think it should be 10 feet is required, but Art is saying 15.3 feet. So I need to.
Why do you think it's 10?
Well, I guess it's 15 because it would be part of the principal structure. Because it's
Yeah,
not an
not
accessory.
Connected to the
structure.
principal structure.
What's that?
I think it's because it's connected to the principal structure.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. Because I assumed it would be an accessory structure, but since it's connected to the principal, that's where I guess he's getting that 15.3. Because the 15.3 is the setback of the existing house. So that, I get that one. And then the pyramid of 102 cubic feet, 330-84D. And then there's the open deck to the north of the screen porch, which requires 330-11 for a rear yard of 5.9 feet, where 10 feet is required. And then it should be also 70-60-83C to be located in the required rear yard. And then lastly, I believe is 330-77D for rear lot coverage for the open and screen decks and outdoor shower of 37%, where 27% is allowed.
Yeah, and that's a concern. We'll talk about it. That's a big lot coverage figure for us to grant relief for.
Well, technically, if she just said that she's removing that deck on the south side, that would have actually removed that square footage.
A tiny bit, but it's still going to be way up there. And I mean, typically, if we're going above 25%, we scrutinize, and this is, even if it goes down to like 35%, that's still a large number. And I understand it's because of the decks. I understand it's also because of the fact that the residence is significantly set back. I think the residence, it looks like, is for the most part in the rear yard.
Yeah.
But still, that's a big percentage. So we'll talk about that more. I mean, all the decking that's there is as built, correct? There isn't
Yes.
anything else.
Yeah,
mean,
all of that, and like I said, all of that shows on aerials from the 80s.
Yeah, yeah. And this is
that
part,
was-
part of what was done without permits way
Yeah.
back. And we don't know by whom, because it was decades ago. So there's like no way of getting information as to how they went up. Obviously, somebody hired someone to put up these structures. But you know, that rear yard lot coverage percentage is high. We have granted to 37%, but in pretty rare instances, I would say. And usually it's for a tennis court. And even then, I mean, when we're getting into the upper 30s, you know, where you know, it's unusual for us. So some of this decking may have to go. Yeah, I mean, it's probably pretty old anyway. It's from the 80s.
Very sturdy.
Okay. Yep.
But it's a little bigger than it needs to be. If the decking needs to go to comply, I'm
Yeah.
happy to read it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying all of it, just to get the rear yard lot coverage down to a number, you know, below 30. It's certainly, and I would say probably 27, 28%. I think, you know, speaking for myself, I can live with. So.
Just, may I just make a statement
Mhm.
generally?
Of course.
Adam, did you swear in Gwendolyn?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
So as you can see from the survey, the orientation of the house really, what you guys consider the front yard really feels like the side yard to me. It's, you know, where the electric meter is and the wires come in. And
Yeah.
north side of the property, which I think you consider side yard, is actually feels like the front yard.
Right. Because this
When
is a flag, it throws off the yards. It's very confusing. I get it.
Exactly.
Yep. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, train of thought.
No, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Is just
Yeah.
when you're actually here, you don't realize what's front and what's side. It's
Absolutely. No, it's not, we pretty frequently see applications for structures of different types on flag lots that are in front yards. So we'll have an application for a shed or a pool in what is a front yard, but only because it's a flag is it, does it end up being front
Exactly.
yard? Whereas
You know,
it's functionally something else.
the placement of the shed was considering I didn't want to see it coming down the driveway, see it from the road, see it from the porch. So it's actually snuggled in pretty nicely. I don't think any of my neighbors can see it.
Yeah, but the shed went up without permits, and I do want to ask you a little bit about how that occurred, unless I'm missing something here. Maybe.
No, you're not missing anything. I did get the permit application, and the way I read it was that if you were going to do this, the correct size and the height, no outdoor lighting, and it was on the proper setbacks, you didn't need a permit, or you could apply for a permit retroactively.
Yep.
I didn't realize I was building a shed in my front yard.
I understand. Yep. Okay. I appreciate the explanation, because it is confusing, because sometimes, sheds can be built in a town without a building permit at all. But because this is a shed located in a front yard, you need one. But
Exactly.
I can understand the confusion.
It feels like my backyard. It's where I park.
Yeah.
Et cetera. The compost pile feels on the property as if it's the backyard.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
The other thing, Daphne, I just wanted to mention, I know you're going to talk to Art anyway, but all over the survey, which looks like Christopher Schroeder had prepared, all the measurements have plus and minus on them. I don't know what the building department is going to take that. I think they're going to want it to be, the plus and minuses to be removed. So just want to share that with you, because I think that probably, as long as we're talking about revising the survey, I think it's going to need to be done. They need the surveyor to commit to the actual numbers that are on there.
That makes sense.
Yep.
I have to tell you, to get all this information onto this survey by a surveyor who's not normally doing a lot of work in this town was very difficult.
I bet.
So,
and it's a fine survey.
I mean, they did a good job in the end, but
Yeah.
I absolutely understand what you're talking about, and I will speak with him.
Yeah, okay, appreciate it. So a lot of this is created by the fact that we have as-built from the 1980s. And I have, I understand you, Gwendolyn, you bought the property with what was already on there and you had nothing to do with it. And you just bought it and you were kind of, basically you took the burden of what someone else did in terms of these as-built structures. And so, the fact that it's as-built, and we'll see if there are neighbors who are going to speak, but the fact that some of the structures are as-built doesn't mean that we have to deny a request for variances for them, but it's a factor. Another part of when it comes to the as-built structures, another part of our considerations is the financial impact that it would have for you to remove them. Not that I'm advocating that you remove them all. I mean, what I mentioned about the decking, but I want to mention that because it may be helpful if it isn't in the file already to have a written estimate as to what the cost would be to remove the as-built structures, including the shed.
Including the shed.
Well, including the shed, because the shed's also an as-built structure. Okay, so again, it's in your favor to have this information in the file to say, it's going to cost me X amount of dollars to remove a structure built without permits. So we typically ask with as-builts the applicants to do that because it's a consideration. But mostly our consideration is the area variance standards. So anyway, so that would be helpful. And so I'd like to see the rear yard lot coverage relief reduced significantly. Also, I think taking into consideration post deck to the property line. I think that's another rationale, but I mean, really, even if it wasn't close to the property line, the fact that we're at 37% is problematic anyway. So that's my primary concern. Again, speaking for myself, the shed in the front yard, I'm not terribly concerned about, but we'll see whether other board members are on that. And also, I'm not sure whether there's amongst anyone from the public who's waiting to be heard. Speaking of which, Daphne, have you heard from any of the neighbors at all?
No, we haven't heard from anyone.
Okay. All right. But definitely we need clarification from Art on the, on the variance relief. If it turns out that the variance relief changes, I would just need to know exactly, what has changed amongst everything in a written document, so that I'll be able to, know what, and also if there are changes to be made, then that has to be reflected on the documents that have been submitted. Because I know we have, pyramid sketches and we have, the survey. So anyway, and you're familiar with this, Stephanie, so you know what would be involved. So you may need some time to do that, but most importantly, you need to talk to Art and figure out what, if anything is going to change in terms of the relief that's being requested. Any other comments from members of the board or Katie?
No, we also need that, like the architect letter on the, the quality of the shed and the whatever it is, the stormproofing.
Right. Yeah, Gwendolyn, another thing about the shed, in order for us to grant relief for a shed, it has to basically be able to withstand a major storm. So we need basically a document from an architect telling us that it's not going to collapse if there's a major storm.
Naturally. Mhm.
Yep. Yeah.
And may I make one last comment?
Sure.
I did buy basically a shack. It was a summer cottage. I had to put the heat in before I even got the mortgage, and it's kind of falling apart. So I would like to express like urgency or hardship or however you want to construe it without, with all due respect to doing it properly. I don't know if this place is going to make it another winter.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that the earliest we're going to be able to have a decision on the application is going to be on our January 6th meeting. So it'll be left open, as all applications tonight are going to be left open for written subs until the day after our next ZBA meeting, which is December 17th. So Daphne, you'll have until December 17th, unless you want more time, to submit what you want to submit. And then the decision would be on January 6th, unless, there was something outstanding that we needed. So so Gwendolyn, that's the fastest you'd have a decision.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're gonna get an architect's letter that's gonna say that the shed can withstand a storm, then I'm assuming everything else can as well.
I mean, the house isn't falling completely apart. There's just issues with the windows and sashes and that kind of thing. I mean, it's not a condemnable place or anything like that.
Okay, well, appreciate you letting us know. So, we'll do
Can
it
I-
on our end, but there is some work left to be done here. So not quite ready yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from members of the board?
No,
Is
I'd
there-
like to see if they could do something on the lot coverage with all those decks, and let's see if somebody else is here.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone from the public who's waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Brewer? This is for property located at 116B Hongkong Avenue in Hampton Bays. If you're waiting to be heard, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
Bobby Becker.
Okay.
He's coming.
Hello.
Hi Gwendolyn, nice to meet you, neighbors. I'm only concerned is how close.
Okay. Hold on. I have to swear you in first.
Okay,
Just
swear me
state
in.
your name and address, please.
Bobby Becker, 65A Bay Avenue West, Hampton Bays.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, right hand.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bobby. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You can continue.
I'm only concerned because we're being so close to a property line. I'm worried about the placement of the propane tanks that are right on the property line. And as Mr. Grossman and others have mentioned, the decks are very close too. So I have no problem with the rest. I think it's going to be beautiful. I'm going to enjoy it forever. The roof doesn't bother us, but we are concerned with the proximity to the property lines.
Yeah. Are the propane tanks, standalone? It looks like they're standalone away from other structures, and can they be moved? Because also propane tanks are flammable, and
That's what worries me.
to consider as well. Yeah.
It could be relocated. Absolutely.
Great.
Okay. Yeah. Katie, the propane tanks, would they need to be in a conforming location? Because there's no relief requested for them.
But I don't know. Candace, do you know about propane tanks? Do they fall under like air conditioners and generators?
I don't think they're regulated by the
I
town,
don't
but they're
think- I
regulated by the
don't
state.
think-
I think they-
Yeah, I'm with Brian. I don't think the town regulates their setbacks. I'm not 100% sure, but double check with the building department, but I don't think that they regulate the setbacks on propane tanks.
Okay.
Okay.
The town does not, the state does, is my understanding, so.
Yeah.
Check with them.
Yeah, but it would be a good idea for them to be moved off the property line. So, I can understand Bobby's concern about it.
Yeah.
So, and if they're to be moved, then Gwendolyn, you would just need to let Daphne know, where they're going to be moved to, because the surveys are going to be revised to reflect wherever their new location is going to be.
Okay.
All right. Bobby, was that,
No, that was
Bobby-
it. Just I was
that-
concerned about the proximity of those two items to the property lines.
Okay. Yeah, and we're gonna have, I think we're gonna have a revised survey submitted with the deck, some or a bunch of the decking, I suspect, removed, proposed to be removed. So we don't have that yet, but we're gonna have that before we make a decision on this. So, are you directly to the south or to the west of the property?
West,
West. Okay.
we're, on that side.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at it. I mean, it's for Daphne and Gwendolyn for you to figure out, but looking at the decking, you know, it's a big chunk of decking along the west. Going, you know, from the south side of the residence to the basically running to where the end of where the proposed addition is going to be. So
Mhm.
I just want that percentage to be reduced. And I don't know what that's going to look like. You may be removing part of it. You may be removing all of it. I don't know. I mean, I just want that the rear yard lot coverage percentage to be in the 27-28% range as opposed to 30, what we have right now, which is 37%. So basically, you know, dropping it down by 10 percentage points or so.
Total coverage, lot coverage.
But rear yard lot coverage, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the screen porch is counting in that number. The screen porch is a little bit over 200 square feet,
Okay,
which is just under 20%, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can take a look at that.
okay. Yeah. And then the other question is whether we're okay with whether this board is okay with doing this by written submission as opposed to having the applicant come back. I just, you know, want to mention that as well.
So I am if we get to the right percentage. And so I guess that's the question. Until we see it, we won't know in my thought. So that would be, I would say it's up to the applicant. Like you could, if you close it and you come back, you close it and submit and we're not happy, you're gonna have to come back and it could take you longer, but I'm okay with it entirely up to them.
Well, Adam had mentioned 27%. Is that a reasonable number to the board, or is there something we should be shooting for?
The number to be 27, I would agree that 27 is reasonable.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I'd be on board with that.
I'm good with that.
I have no problem with the percentage, but the survey really needs to be redone. I mean, it's pretty complicated. So
All right,
I don't know if we can do that with submissions. I don't know how everybody else feels.
I'd
Yeah, I'd
rather they-
prefer to
I'd
come back.
rather they come back. Do
Appreciate it.
you have a
prefer-
problem,
I
Daphne,
prefer-
coming back?
as well.
Daphne,
I'm sorry, there's a
you
lot.
have a problem coming back?
Well,
And that'll give you an opportunity to speak to the people at the building department that you've had a problem getting to speak to, so.
Okay, well, I want to figure out where the board is on this coming back versus written
I
subs.
would prefer to not come back if I don't have to. I think that we can clean up the survey and remove those plus and minus signs and clarify the setbacks and show, you know, the changes that we would be making to get to that 27% number. We may even be at a less than 27%, depending on, you know, what Ms. Brewer wants to do with these decks, because part of that new addition is going to be within some of that existing decking. So I'm not sure how she wants to handle that. And that's obviously a conversation I'd have to have with my client. Maybe she wants to remove that entire deck and then we'd be literally at 20%, which obviously you'd be really happy with, because then we would meet lot coverage, rear lot coverage. We're only at 15% for total lot coverage, where 20 is allowed. So just so that's another fact that I should put on the record.
It just seems to me that there's a lot of clarification, the architect's letter on the shed. I mean, you know, some, you know, reworking of the whole construction. And I know, Gwen, that you're interested in moving quickly on this, but I'm a bit confused, and I would prefer get clarification before we, at least in-person clarification.
I understand.
Okay,
I agree.
okay. so
I
that's-
agree.
Okay, so I get the sense that people want you to come back, and so.
That's for sure.
Okay, all right, so it sounds like that's the direction we're going in. All right, Daphne, so I guess I'm the lead on this, so how much time do you think you're gonna need?
Well, 'tis the season, so getting the attention of people is difficult. First, I need to have a conversation with Art, and then I need to get attention of surveyors and architects. So
It's gonna be January, because we have nothing else in December, unfortunately,
yeah,
so.
obviously not December. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so basically it's the first or second meeting in January. I don't know whether you think you can get it ready for January 6th, but I will come back on January 6th, whether you'd have everything you need by then, we could put it on for January 6th, and if you need extra time, just let Candace know. It's up to you.
yeah, I think we can try for that and do a lot of fingers crossing.
All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, if not, I would move that we adjourn the application of Brewer for all purposes until our January 6th meeting.
Second.
Mr. DeSessa,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
I,
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you both for your comments this evening. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Item 5 on the agenda is Fabio Dano, 4 Cold Spring Court in Shinnecock Hills, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-176-2-12. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code 330-6 General Regulations, which references 330-11 Residence District Table of Dimensional Regulations, and relief of 330-5 definitions, lot line front B3 for a distance from rear lot line from 20 feet to 10 feet, and for a proposed 252 square foot garage / shed. 330-84D height for a proposed encroachment in the amount of 13.8 cubic feet on the south side of the property.
Board has jurisdiction.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let me see, unless you're an attorney, I just have to swear you in.
Yes, I'm not an attorney.
Not attorney, okay. You just state your name and address for the record, please.
Bobby Odino, 4 Cold Spring Court, Southampton, New York, 11968.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. If you can tell us about the application.
Thank you very much, Board, for giving me the time to explain my application this evening. This project started in 2015. I met with the Environmental Division, Mr. Shea, and the Conservation Board about the plan on building a 2-story residence on the property. We worked through the plan, and around 2018, I received approvals to construct the house. I applied for a shed on separate permit. That permit was approved by the Environmental Division.
It's okay, thank you. Thank you.
The approved by the Environmental Board. The original location of the shed was on the northeast corner of the property between the 100-foot and 75-foot wetlands buffer. And then in 2020, the health department required a modification to the septic system. So I went back to the Conservation Board and Environmental Board to redesign that. And as I voluntarily moved, as mitigation to the wetlands, I voluntarily moved the shed to the southeast corner of the property, actually out of the wetlands. And both boards were pleased with this because it wasn't a request by them. I did it voluntarily. As the permit was already issued, I have it built on the northeast corner. With that said, when I designed it 10 feet off the property line, as I thought accessory structures were. I have a non-conforming lot. I realized that the front is the water side and the rear street side is the rear yard, but the setbacks are doubled from 10 to 20. So when I did reapply, Mr. Graham advised that it could not be at 20 feet, and that was the denial to the permit. I have a crawl space on the property. I have no outside storage. So that's the reason that I located the shed there. Also, on the east side of the property is where my septic is, so there's no access to would be the front yard, the water side. My only access to serviceability of anything in the front yard is on the west side of the property, so I need to leave that area open for machinery if I ever need to repair anything. So the reason the location is where it is to move it out of the wetlands, to mitigate any impact on the wetlands, and the best location that the shed would fit. And just for Ms. Garvin, I wanted to mention the neighbor to the southeast. Your records indicate an old owner from about six months ago. So I did send a certified letter to the new current owner in addition. So he's fully aware of the project and supports the project.
Great.
You're welcome. In fact, if you're looking at the survey, that would be southwest corner of the property is a 10 feet, I'm requesting 10-foot setback from the property line, but on the southeast corner, it would only be about 4-foot relief because the property is sloped, the property lines. So it would be actually less, that corner would be only about 4 feet relief that I would be requesting.
Okay. I went down there to constrain lot. I mean, you have a lot going on with wetlands and the sanitary system. Garage is a common amenity in that area. I don't have any problem with it.
Neither.
A question. So it's an as-built structure? It's already there?
No, it is not. It's a new.
Oh, is
It's
it?
not there. Okay, good.
I would have been all over it when you already built it. You did not build it. It's a proposal. So
Well, it says on the survey, new shed, not proposed shed. So
Yeah.
that can be a little confusing. Although it does show the outline, I guess, of maybe a shed that was previously there.
That's correct. That shed has been moved just for storage right now for the building of the house, but it will be removed.
Okay.
Did you have to modify your wetlands permit already? Have you done that?
I did yes, everything was modified. It's just when I did the permit with the building department, that setback was caught, and that was the reason for the denial. But the conservation board has the new survey. It was stamped approved, and I went to the public hearing, and it was at the public hearing I discussed putting it exactly where it is on this current survey.
So, and I want to see people, move structures out of wetlands. So that's, that is commendable to do that. And this is a constrained lot, as Brian said. Anyway, we'll see if there are any neighbors that have any concerns. Otherwise, well, any other questions or comments, members of the board? Okay. Okay. If not, is there anyone from the public who's waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Dano? This is for property located at 4 Cold Spring Court in Shinnecock Hills. If you're waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand. Charlie, any hands?
No, sir.
Okay. All right.
All right, motion to close, leaving it open for written submissions till 12/17 with a determination on 1/6/22.
second.
Mr. Tuthill,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you for your comments this evening. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Moving along to item 10 on the agenda, which is RCF Properties LLC, 454 Seven Ponds Town Road, Watermill. Suffolk County Tax Map 900-100-3-2.11.
Good evening.
evening. For the applicant, David Gilmartin Jr., Farrell Fritz, 50 Station Road, Watermill, New York. This application was presented to you 2 weeks ago by Bruce Anderson. He is away, so I'm subbing in for him tonight.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was told that the board instructed Mr. Anderson to go back and get the required rear yard lot coverage under 50%, which the owner of the property was able to do by moving the rear yard setback from 10, which is conforming, to 14 feet, and that reduced the rear yard lot coverage from 52 to 48%. I have both surveys and a copy of the subdivision map if the board would like to take a look at them, but it does have those figures on there. So.
Yeah, we did get the written submission by email. Okay. So the rear lot coverage had been 52, proposed at 52.1%. And the new survey says
48. It's in the same spot.
I'm looking. 48%?
Yes.
No, that's still, okay. We said below 50%. Okay. I was not at the last meeting, but I listened to the comments, and I think the only reason that the other members of the board, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but the sense of it I got was the only reason that we're considering such a high rear lot coverage percentage is because this parcel is next to, essentially a vacant parcel. But that is a very high number.
But understood, right? That's the substantiality portion of the test, but you have to look at the totality of the circumstances. And can I share? I'll go through this. Can I share my screen?
Sure.
Please do.
Can you see the survey?
We can see the survey.
Okay, so this is the subdivision. I'm sorry. This is a subdivision map. So what happened here with this subdivision is with 7 Ponds Town Road, the planning board didn't want these lots accessing off of there. There's a nice natural buffer there, and there's a fairly steep slope to get up to those lots. So the planning board asked us to do this interior road, which then there's no setback from it from a zoning standpoint, but you do want to be set back from the driveway somewhat to create a cohesive neighborhood. So we look to set the houses back. If we were able to shift the house forward, which we could do, we could fit the tennis court. It's not that the tennis court can't fit. We meet all of the setbacks in the R20, which is the designated zoning district. And we're far under the lot coverage requirements. But if we shift the house up here, all of these other lots are going to have their houses here, and this house will stick out. So I think there's only one lot under construction currently, but you're going to negatively impact the future character of this neighborhood. I don't know that I've ever made that argument before. So we look to keep the house in a place where it would be in line and then get some separation back. And this, the required rear yard lot coverage is to protect the neighbor behind you. Here, there's no neighbor behind us. It's a very large agricultural reserve, which is part of the subdivision. So shifting the tennis court back doesn't negatively impact any of the neighbors. And I would submit that it protects the character of the neighborhood, keeping the front yard setbacks from this right of way consistent all the way across.
Yeah.
So as we consider substantiality, I think, you look at the totality of these particular circumstances, and it warrants the variance. In this
Yeah.
case.
On the other hand, the tennis court being back, obviously doesn't affect the agricultural reserve, but it conceivably would affect the adjacent property owners to the west and the east. But maybe they wouldn't have a problem with this because they plan on building a tennis court and getting 50% lot coverage or 48% lot coverage, rear yard lot coverage too. So we'll just have a line of tennis courts.
Yeah, understood, except that we meet the side and rear yard setbacks, right? So from a neighbor standpoint, we are meeting the side yard setbacks from these two lots. There was a discussion about tennis courts when we were in front of the planning board. And, I think what will happen is only lots 11 and 12 really have the lot width to get a tennis court in. I think there is an enormous amount of variance relief for the balance of at least these lots to fit tennis. That was a point of discussion during the subdivision. So we do meet the side yard setbacks here. It's just the required rear yard lot coverage. And frankly, it's the 30-foot right of way that's kind of pinching us, forcing us back.
Well, I can't wait to hear the other tennis court applications about wanting their 48 to 50% lot coverage, rear yard lot coverage relief. They're going to be chomping at the bit to make those applications. With all kinds of other rationales.
Based on this conversation, it won't be me bringing it. I understand. I understand.
Tell
We
the
need to decide
applicants to join a tennis club, will you? I wonder how Gwendolyn Brewer likes it, huh? He just sat there and busted her shoes.
Completely different circumstance.
Mr. Gilmartin, could you explain to me again your point about the setback from the right-of-way road being consistent, that everybody's going to be consistently at the same, distance from the right-of-way road for the entire, what makes you say that?
Here is the 30-foot.
Yeah, no, I know the buffer yeah.
Right. So when the individuals who purchase this lot, these lots come in to develop them, I'm going to use just an estimate. Those houses will be located something like that. I suspect this one will be a little bit back further because of that. But if we were to put the tennis court in a conforming location, it would push the house up very close to the right of way, right? So we're trying to achieve the setback from that right of way. The other lots will, I believe, do the same, that they'll want to be set back from the right of way 50 feet. So if we push it up to 30 feet, we'll be 20 feet closer to the right of way than the neighbors and the rest of the neighborhood.
But none of them have been developed except for the very last one on the left.
That's why I said it's the future character of the neighborhood, right? They haven't been done, but I think people will look to achieve some setback from their right of way, like you would do with a street, right? And again, we're getting pinched from 7 ponds. There's this natural buffer area that can't be built on, and then this interior roadway.
So it's easy. You just don't build a tennis court. That's all.
Well, the other question I had, David, is what if you move the house forward and you need setback relief, because it's the house is being moved forward. What does that do to the rear yard lot coverage relief for the tennis court? Does it drop it down into 30% instead of 48% if we move the house up?
We don't. There's no zoning setback from the right of way, right? So we could build right. Yeah, we could build right on the right of way, but that doesn't make any sense or make for a cohesive neighborhood. So that's the challenge. But we could fit the tennis court under zoning by pushing it forward very close to it. But again, that's going to negatively impact the development of the rest of the neighborhood. we think that this is sensible and it doesn't impact any of the neighbors. We're not asking for relief for side yard to fit it. It's just the required rear yard as we try to achieve, a setback for the tennis court, and it's going to be on an agricultural reserve. There is also, I don't know if you can see it on this, but there's a 10-foot wide drainage easement also before you get to the ag reserve.
It all looks the same.
What looks the
I mean,
same?
it just looks like it's part of the reserve. I've been there, so.
Well, if you look, there is a 10-foot wide swale there right behind these lots. I have an aerial, I just don't have it available that shows that swale.
Yeah.
And we were required by the town engineer to install that before we could get any building permits.
From my perspective, denying the application would just benefit the rear property. And in this case, it's just the ag reserve. And so I don't see how anyone benefits from that. So speaking just for myself, I'm comfortable with what you proposed based on the revisions.
So are you saying that you aren't able to move the house forward somewhat? Or are you wedded to what you have plotted out as where the house begins from the right of way? I mean, or you're just not, I mean, I can understand you don't want to put it right up against the right of way, but is there any movement there?
Well, I mean, it was moved from 10 feet to
No,
14
that
feet.
was in the back. I'm talking about the front.
Right, I understand, but aren't they tied together? If you move the house forward, then you can move the tennis court
Yes,
forward? Is
that's
that what
right.
you're
That's why I'm asking, is there any
Right. Well,
any play there?
There's some, but isn't it a distinction without a difference? What are we protecting in moving it forward? I don't think there's any protection that you're providing except for the ag reserve. Meanwhile, I think it's a real benefit to the owner of the property to have it set up the way that it is. If the boards can deny it, well, yes, of course, we can move it forward. We were given a standard to meet for tonight, and we did that. But
Yeah. Well, I wasn't here at the last meeting, so but sometimes, well, that was what was told, and I don't dispute that that's what was told to Bruce last time. But I wasn't here, and I would have been raising these issues had I been at the last meeting. Another question: the proposed pool, is that part of the rear yard lot coverage as well?
It must be. I'm looking to see where.
I think it is. Well, you could remove the pool. That'll get rid of some rear yard lot coverage.
Distinction without a difference. What are we looking to protect? You're protecting the ag reserve. I think you're.
Well, all you got to do is get the 4, as you know. And I'm not going to vote for 48% rear yard lot coverage.
It seems like we're elevating style over substance. I mean, I hear the substantiality.
If you look at the amount of applications that we have granted 48% rear yard lot coverage, you will find extremely rare in those situations. I mean, very rare.
Understood, but you're talking about the substantiality prong of the balancing test, and that says that you have to consider the totality of the circumstances. The circumstances here is that you are not protecting anything by requiring it. If there were a lot here, right, I would understand that. That's readily understandable. But the totality of the circumstances here are that we meet the side yard setbacks, we meet a rear yard setback, we meet a lot coverage setback by what our lot coverage is 7.4% when we're allowed 20%, right? So when you consider the totality of those circumstances, I think that while it is a big number as a number, it's one of those rare circumstances where the number doesn't tell the story. The location of where the tennis court is and how it impacts the neighbors is what the story is. If it helps, I think they're very willing to sink it. If that's, I know that's a significant expense, but I think they're willing to do that.
I thought it was already proposed to be sunken.
It may be, again, I'm
Yeah.
filling in tonight for Mr. Anderson.
Right.
That was one of the discussions that they were willing, I don't know.
Well, the way I see it as protecting the integrity of the zoning. I'm not in favor of, some properties are just not meant to have everything that an owner wants on it, and this seems to be one of them.
Look, I think that
I'm not in favor of it. Just can't, I'm not.
Well, if I could
I'm not in
respond,
favor. It doesn't pass the 5-part test.
well, please explain to me where it fails.
Well, I mean, I think
It's
Michael-
self-created.
And Michael's point and Adam's point was the precedent setting for not only the surrounding properties seeking, exemptions from, it's also just in terms of, the stand that the zoning board takes in terms of real lot coverage in general.
Right, so if I could respond to that, there's 2 points there. First of all, I think just setting a number is arbitrary, right? That the board, you have to enter into a balancing test. And there's a balancing test that has that to say, well, it's just too high a number, ignores the circumstances and the facts surrounding this discrete application. And what I think may be missed in my presentation, and I apologize, is that a tennis court could fit on this lot, right? We could fit it and meet the lot coverage by pushing the house forward towards the 30-foot
Right.
wide common drive.
Okay.
We can do that. So it fits on this lot, right? But I think it's a better setup for both the property owner and the future owners of the lots that surround it, that you don't have a house looming over the right of way. It makes much better planning sense that you compact the development on this lot set back from the right of way. So to say that it doesn't fit on the lot, I don't believe that that's an accurate statement. It can, but there is a better setup for the development of this lot. And I believe it's the way that we proposed it. And it's a discrete, specific application. Zoning, when you look at it and you say, does it create a precedent? One of the basic precepts of zoning is that all properties are different and they have to be considered differently. It's why the zoning board exists as a safety valve to intervene in situations where the zoning doesn't make sense as applied. And and I've done a lot of litigation on zoning, and as lawyers, we try to get the precedent in, but what the cases all say is it's got to be foursquare on the facts of that application. So I would say to you that this particular number, while I understand is high numerically, can be very distinguished from somebody else with a deck, for example, coming in with 48% and it impinging on a neighbor, right? You tell me if you've seen an interior right-of-way that has impacted a lot where Seven Ponds Town Road was our legal access for the subdivision so that we could go forward under town law under the subdivision. However, the planning board wanted to maintain this natural buffer area and did not want the access coming off the road for safety for people around Edge of Woods and on Seven Ponds Town, and to retain what was in that area. So that's how this got set up. And I think what it did is it pushed the development and knowingly so, it pushed the development of these lots back towards the ag reserve where they knew it wouldn't impact anybody.
Okay. Well, the other thing I want to mention, and I appreciate the points you're raising, I understand that. But the other thing I want to mention is if this was an impossibility to do anything to reduce rear yard lot coverage, that is, it was literally impossible, that would be one thing. But we've been discussing how it could be the lot coverage, rear yard lot coverage could be reduced if the plan in terms of the location of the residence was revised and that tennis court moved forward and maybe the pool were to go away. So there were options here.
I understand that argument, but I think when, I would respectfully say, why? What are you protecting in doing that? I understand that it could be moved, and I understand your concern, and you could reduce it. I think that's an artificial reduction that doesn't gain or make any significant benefit or reduce a detriment. And remember, you're balancing the benefit to the applicant. The benefit to the applicant here is that their house is not on the right of way, that there's a separation that I believe will be consistent with the rest of the neighborhood as it gets developed. That's the benefit. What is the detriment here to placing the tennis court where we've proposed it? I don't see the detriment. I understand the point of the big number. I just don't see what detriment we're resolving by moving it forward. I think actually we're creating a detriment to the rest of the subdivision as it would get built out.
But this board has oftentimes said if there's a conforming location, they're not going to grant a variance. And this is certainly not granting the least amount of relief necessary if there's a conforming location. I mean, and I also wonder when they're talking about the precedent, this is one lot in like a 6 or 7 lot subdivision. So there is precedent there that each one of these lots has the right of way going through it, abutting the ag reserve.
My response to that is twofold. First of all, the idea that you give the least amount of variance necessary is predicated on the applicant and what they're applying for. And that's been borne out in all of the litigation on this. The second point that you make, if you look, and I'll try and blow it up here, I don't know if I'll be successful, but you can see that this lot is 175 feet wide. This lot is 1,307 feet wide. They all get smaller. They're all 150 as we go to the south. So I think you can readily distinguish this lot from its neighbors. And I think that that's an important distinction, because I think when these lots, the rest of the lots, come in and say we'd like a tennis court, that they're also going to need side yard relief.
I think of what my friend Herb Phillips used to say, that you own the whole yard, you pay taxes on the whole yard. If you meet the setbacks, you can use the rear yard. While it's a higher number for us, I'm okay with it.
And if I was one of the neighboring lot owners, I'd be in favor of this application, because I'd much rather the ag reserve having a tennis court close to it than, like you said, the easement having a house pushed up right on it. So if I own one of the neighboring lots, I'd certainly be in favor of the application, which is the reason why I am in favor of, I mean, I'm not one of the owners of the neighboring lots, but it's the reason why I'm in favor of your application as proposed.
The easement, though, is like a driveway, because it's not going to be a thoroughfare that, it's not Seven Ponds Town Road, I mean, where there's a lot of traffic or anything. You've got the advantage of having this buffer from the regular road, and this easement is not, it's not a highly used, it's not like a typical road. So,
right.
The whole idea of like, oh my gosh, we have to be back from that easement. I don't know.
You call it a driveway. I don't know who has a 30-foot wide driveway, right? This was created so that 2 cars could pass each other on it. And that was specifically done during the planning process. And I suspect we may get these neighbors using it to get out to Edge of Woods when they're going east. But, it's a 30-foot wide common driveway, which, it's, I don't know who has 20-foot or 30-foot wide driveways in their property, and like 2 cars can pass and repass on.
Can I ask a question, because I'm new on this? we got a letter from somebody from Watermilltown Road, and they raised a thing about view shed. What's the history on that? Does anybody know? Can they advise me on that?
I'd be happy to advise you. I just don't know if you want my advice.
No, I was asking the board members.
Understood.
Yeah. So I haven't seen, this is the letter that was a submission.
Yeah.
Let's see. View shed sounds to me like their view of their neighborhood or view of the water or whatever it is that they're looking for.
Yeah, it's from Tim Ferguson, and he's talking about he's suggesting that at least one of the subdivisions in the 1990s for River Circle Farm was, I guess one of the things they were discussing was preserving the view shed. It says where maintenance of the view shed for the surrounding community was a key consideration. So he's basically suggesting that the view sheds were supposed to be protected. I don't,
Does
typically
he
a
live on the
tennis.
agricultural reserve? Does the
What's
letter,
that?
does the letter give his address as the agricultural reserve? I mean, how are we harming his view shed?
Yeah, no, he's on the other side of Water. He's at
He's on
225
edge of
Watermill
Wood-
Town.
Yeah, right.
He's on Watermill Town.
Yeah, so he's not impacted.
No, I mean, if anything, it would only speak to maybe not requiring screening. I mean, I would think, if we're trying to protect view sheds, many times it's not a good idea to impose screening.
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay, thank you.
But generally, that's not something we focus on as a board. People.
My response to his letter is twofold. This is a filed subdivision. It was filed in 2016. These lots are here and they're going to be developed as they are laid out here. The other thing I'd say is view sheds are not something that's protected by the zoning code.
Right.
And to Mr. Kelly's point, they're not impacted by what we're proposing in any way whatsoever.
Okay, so I think we've spent enough time kind of covering most of the issues here. Rooney, I think you've made your case, and we're just going to have to see where the board is on this. I do not know whether you have 4 votes or not. But it does not sound like you're looking to make any changes to the application. You're entitled to leave it the way it is, and then we'll see where it goes.
Right. If I could hear where the board stands, then I would ask you to leave it open. If it's negative, obviously I'd ask you to leave it open and then take it back to my client.
Okay. Well, I've expressed my position. Mike.
I've expressed my-
Right. Mike has, Cornelius has, and Brian has. Anybody else want to?
I think you guys could catch my drift. I'm not in support of the application.
And neither am I.
And I'm not at this point.
So that's 4.
Okay, leave it open is can I get some direction to see where that goes? If I bring it back, how far?
Okay. So the last application, I said 27%.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe I don't know that you can even do 27% in this scenario. It'd be nice if you could do 30.
Just don't build the tennis courts, plain and simple.
Yeah, or move the house forward, one or the other.
Right, we're moving the house forward. We get it to 30.
All right, I've got your drift.
Thank you.
So if we can leave
You've
it
done a
open,
fine job, Mr. Gilmartin, trying to represent Mr. Anderson tonight.
apparently not fine
Just
enough,
in-
and I don't know who Anderson is.
Well, we appreciate all of your excellent advocacy.
So, Mr. Gilmartin, I have the lead on this. So what do you propose doing? Do you want to come back? What's?
Yes, we'll come back. I'll have to speak to my client to see where he stands on moving it.
Yeah. Okay. Before we do that, I just have to ask,
All right. Sorry.
if there's anyone from the public. Is there anyone from the public who's waiting to be heard in connection with this application? This is the application of RC Properties LLC for property located at 454 Seven Ponds Town Road in Watermill. If there's anyone who's waiting to be heard, this would be on Zoom. This would be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
I see no hands.
No hands. Okay. Susan, back to where you were in terms of dates.
Okay, so Adam, in terms of the agendas for the
Yep.
December meeting and the
January 6th will be the next one that we're available. We're not putting anything over.
are for 16. So the next
Yep.
available meeting would be January 6th, and the following one is the 20th. What would you like? Is
David, I
this
think
still-
you're muted. Oops,
Is he still here?
he's here. We just can't hear him.
Oh, all right.
Rennie, you,
I don't,
there we go. We can hear you now. Which day would you
Yes.
prefer, the 6th or the 20th?
6th.
The 6th, okay.
So I move to adjourn this application to January 6th.
Second.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mrs. Sessa. Ms. Burgess,
Hi.
Mr. Tuthill,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you so much, Bernie. Have a good rest of your night.
Bye.
All right, item 12 on the agenda is Philip Patel and Sabjit Kaur Dhilan. 147 Edgemere Drive in North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-31-1-3.2.
I don't know who to let in on this one. Gotta raise your hand.
Maybe Mark Schiffert or anybody from his firm. There had been somebody in opposition to this bill.
We got
Leeds, maybe
someone.
he's in there.
We got someone.
Okay.
Lois.
Good evening.
Good evening, board members. Do you need to swear me in, Mr. Grossman?
I do, unless you're an attorney.
Okay, yes.
Okay, if you can state your name and address.
My name is Louis Puccio. My address is 1 Country Lane, Hampton Bays, New York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And actually, I think I had sworn you in previously, so you're still sworn in from last night.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Okay, if you can give us an update.
Sure. So we wanted to give you an update on the application for 147 Edgemere. We have filed with the conservation per your request, and conservation asked us to reflag the wetlands, which we have applied for, and we were still waiting for the wetlands to be flagged. Conservation also asked us that we include that we connect this property to town water, which we have also began the arrangements for with the Suffolk County Water Authority. In connection with the building department, we did file for a work done permit for the building department, which also had to be included under the application for conservation due to its proximity to the wetlands.
Work done for what?
The trellis that I believe we discussed it the last time we met.
Yep.
Yeah, so you put an or there's going to be an application to Conservation Board, or is it already submitted?
It's been submitted. I can pull up some comments that we've received if you would like to see those.
Sure.
So I can just share my screen.
Yep.
Okay. Let's hold on one second here. Okay. So this is a letter from the town of Southampton Building Department A building permit will not be issued. This was, we had filed for the work done permit for the trellis, pergola trellis. A building permit will not be issued at this time. A plan review has shown that your application is incomplete and unclear or not in compliance with the codes of the town for reasons below. The applicant must submit either a letter of non-jurisdiction or an administrative wetlands permit from the environmental division before building permit can be issued. So we included that in our application to the Conservation Board, and here is a NOI from the Conservation Board. I believe it was just some minor, let's see, the Environmental Division is in receipt of flagging. Yeah, so this is basically saying we need to show the wetlands boundary once it's been flagged. The existing covenant buffer. This is asking us to show any easements for that exist on the driveway for the water main, as well as a common driveway easement, which we updated. And then clarification is needed to whether or not the application has already installed public water service. So we have that in motion. We, speaking to the Suffolk County Water Authority. And then the survey needs to show all hardscape, inclusive of sanitary system, retaining walls and stone walkways. So that just has to be reflected on the updated site plan. This is asking for the finished elevations for the top of the pool. And then the existing trellis were built without the required wetlands and building permits. As such, $1,000 legalization penalty fee needs to be paid, which I believe we paid.
Okay. So it sounds like you've got to finish addressing the issues with wetlands.
Yes.
I don't know that this board's going to act on the application until we know that they're that they're satisfied and we have at least something conditionally approving.
Yeah, this was to serve as an update to the board on the progress of this application. So we would like to adjourn it to the next available meeting.
Okay. The next available meeting we have is January 6th. Do you think that's going to be enough time to get, conditional approval or resolution from the Conservation Board? Or do you think you need the second meeting in January to have more time?
What's the date for the second meeting?
Second meeting is January 20th.
That should be good. I think January 20th would be appropriate.
Okay. All right. In the meantime, any questions from members of the board or Katie?
Louis, have you heard from the neighbor? We did get a letter from Bill Leeds. Have you spoken with him at all?
We spoke to him a little bit.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know, I did forward that letter to, I think, Madeline, so I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, yeah, we have been speaking to Mr. Leeds in regards to this application.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone from the public who's waiting to be heard on Zoom in connection with the application of Patel and Dylan? This is for property located at 147 Edgemere Drive in North Sea. If you're waiting to be heard on Zoom in connection with this application, please let us know by raising your hand.
I see no hands.
No hands. Okay, Brian, is yours.
I think we have to keep it open. How long do you think it's going to take for conservation?
Well,
He said January 20th.
January
yeah,
20th.
I think that's an appropriate date. I believe we made these changes, so we should be able to file or refile and then get another updated comments and in regards to positioning the addition or any changes they want for the location of the addition and the
All
pool.
right, so let's keep it open for all purposes to our first meeting in February, which is looking for my calendar. Sorry,
I think it's February 3rd.
I believe it's February 3rd.
Third would be my motion.
Second.
Mr. DeSessa,
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Who am I forgetting? Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you so much, Louis. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you.
We're on to decisions now.
We are. Well, I have a few, unless someone wants to go first. Okay, if not, I will start with a decision in the application of John and Victor Petrillo. This is for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 94219. This
Wait.
application,
Do we have to open this up first?
we actually had done that at the
Oh, we
beginning of the meeting.
right.
Yeah.
On that part, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. This application is for property located at 31 East Beach Drive in North Sea. Applicants request variances to construct a new two-story dwelling. After discussions with the board, the applicant reduced the proposed pyramid encroachment, and as revised, the application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants applicant relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. 1, for the proposed dwelling on a non-conforming lot. 330/83K yards for a principal minimum side yard setback of 7.5 feet from the south side of the property line where 10 feet is permitted. And 2, 330/84D pyramid height for a pyramid encroachment in the amount of 5,573 cubic feet, 2,890 cubic feet on the south side, and 2,683 cubic feet on the north side. 2, for the proposed porch with a second-story deck on the west side of the dwelling. 330/83K for a principal side yard setback of 7.3 feet from the south side of the property where 10 feet is permitted. 3, for the proposed deck on the west side of the dwelling. 33011 Residential District's Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory setback of 7 feet where 10 feet is required. And 4, for the proposed mechanicals located on the north side of the property, AC units. 33077G, placement of accessory buildings, structures, and uses in residence districts for a setback of 5.3 feet where 10 feet is required. These variances are granted for structures as shown on the survey prepared by Floyd Carrington of Rayner Marks and Carrington, last revised October 4th, 2021, and the plans and elevations prepared by Stephen Rossetti dated September 20th, 2021. Granted, the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to require for final approval of the subject premises, including the removal of any existing fencing from the right-of-way.
Second.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Let me see, Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Tidal,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The next determination I have is in the application of East End Homes Management, Inc. This is for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900/146/134. We also had reopened this application tonight to accept written submissions. This application is for property located at 12 Bayview Lane in Flanders. Applicant requests a single and separate determination and also for variances to construct a single-family residence. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board finds that the subject premises located at 12 Bayview Lane, Flanders, Town of Southampton, tax map number 900/146/134, is a single and separate 5,227 square foot lot and is thus entitled to relief pursuant to Town Code 330/115D. This board also grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a proposed dwelling. 33011 Residence District's Table of Dimensional Regulations for a principal front yard setback of 29 feet where 40 feet is required. And 2, Town Code 33084D pyramid height for a proposed encroachment in the amount of 4,081.15 cubic feet as shown in the survey prepared by Nathan Taft Corwin III, land surveyor, last dated November 5th, 2021, and the plans and elevations prepared by John J. Condon, PE, Condon Engineering, PC, dated April 20th, 2021, and July 8th, 2021. Granted, the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And I have one more. This is one I wrote, the matter of the application of Frederick and Ann Skopanich. This is for property located at 1 Cedar Lane in Hampton Bays, tax map number 900/345/31. Applicant requests the following variance, relief from 330 11, residential districts table of dimensional regulations for an accessory distance from street setback, front yard of 32.4 feet where 70 feet is required for a proposed pool and any other relief necessary. This property is a size of 9,947.46 square feet in the R40 zoning district. And I indicated the tax map number and the location. It is non-conforming as to size. It has a residence on it and one-car garage and deck addition and a finished basement with no cooking or sleeping facilities. It is type 2 pursuant to secret. And we did get a single and separate abstract of title, and the applicants established single and separate ownership. At the public hearing, testimony by Ann Skopanich, one of the applicants, consisted of explanation that the applicants are requesting accessory distance from street setback relief front yard for a proposed pool. Since the subject property is burdened by 2 front yards, this relief is required for a modest pool that will be 12 feet by 18 feet. The applicant submitted that pools are common in the vicinity and that it will not have a negative impact on adjacent property owners. There was no opposition to this application. We find that in this instance, the applicants have established that they are entitled to the requested variance relief. The application passes the 5-part test. Therefore, in the interest of justice and for the reasons set forth herein, this board grants applicants relief from zoning code 33011, residential districts table of dimensional regulations for an accessory distance from street setback front yard of 32.44 feet where 70 feet is required for a proposed pool. The pool will have the dimensional requirements and location as shown on a survey of Scalise Land Surveying by Michael J. Scalise Surveyor, originally surveyed on September 11, 2019 and last revised on October 9, 2021, which was submitted with the application and is incorporated herein. This relief is subject to conditions of such other permits as the applicants have heretofore acquired or may otherwise be necessary for final approval of the pool to be built at the subject property.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. I'm done. That's all I got. Anybody else have decisions? Nope.
Nope. Motion to close.
Motion to close. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.